Hilaria Baldwin, Self-Pity Olympics. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The use of celebrities on my channel serves two distinct purposes. The first, I have thousands of videos that explain to you the way that the narcissist behaves. If you like, those are videos about pure narcissism. The way the narcissist hoovers, the mindset of the narcissist, the different types of narcissist, the dynamic with victims, and much more. I explain that in a way which enables people to grasp the concepts. The utilization of celebrities and famous people also provides you with a real-life example of the concepts that I tell you about, so that you're able to see what a pity play looks like, or the ignition of heated fury, or understand what hoovers are, that you can see narcissistic wounding in action, that you can see the various assertions of control and so forth. The second aspect of this is that in so many instances, there is the behaviour of a person where you're left thinking to yourself, why did they do that? What the dickens is going on? Holy guacamole! Why did they do that? And by understanding that you're watching a narcissist and what that means, it enables you to then easily and readily understand what's driving their behaviour. Hitherto, you'd be scratching your noggin thinking, I just don't get why they've done that. Now you're able to go, the works of H.G. Tudor are available to me, and I now see why Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Amber Heard, this one's wife, and Hilaria Baldwin have behaved in the way that they have. Hilaria Baldwin just recently got the heave-ho from Dancing with the Stars, but this hasn't stopped her narcissism. As Kirsten Fleming writes for the New York Post, Hilaria Baldwin thought she'd go on Dancing with the Stars, shimmy her way into America's hearts, deluded thinking, and we'd forget that she pretended to be a Spanish woman for a whole decade. No such luck. She and her dance partner, Gleb Savchenko, were booted recently, the fourth couple to say adios to the ABC show. Baldwin, 41, is a former competitive ballroom dancer, but most importantly, she is also a champion fabulist. And because the show is essentially a popularity contest with a side of cha-cha-cha, people vote for the contestants they like, so long as they don't have two left feet. The people clearly didn't like her because she's a narcissist who posed as a woman called Hilaria from Spain, when in reality she's Hillary from the posh Beacon Hill neighbourhood of Boston. Pausing there. No punch pulled here, as the New York Post labels her accurately that she is a narcissist. And once again, we see the problem for the narcissist that earlier actions, i.e. pretending to be a Spanish woman, keep coming back and biting her on the backside, because each time that she appears and tries to convince everybody else that that's not the case, there's somebody waiting to point out, we remember what you did. The article continues, but to Hilaria, her early exit is the dastardly work of a vast online network of mean girls who don't appreciate her unique burden of being bilingual. On the show's official podcast, she ranted in bizarre accented English, "We make enemies out of each other, and I'm talking about my fellow women. We need to stop." Then in an Instagram live video last week, which I'd hitherto commented upon, she said she was bullied off the show. I did, that's for sure. That is for sure. Well, as I explained, it's not a surprise that this narcissist trots out the pity play. Self-pity, the pity play, is seen with lesser and mid-range narcissists, but particularly those of a mid-range persuasion, and especially so with middle mid-range A and B, and most of all with middle range B narcissists. Hilaria Baldwin isn't middle range type B. She's different, but she's still within the classification of ones that would use the pity play. The narcissist never feels sorry for anybody else. They may make it look like they do. This is false compassion or false contrition, for example. But in actual fact, they don't. Because the narcissist is only concerned with themselves and the subconscious pursuit of the prime aims, where they're a lesser or a mid-range narcissist. The narcissism chooses a pity play as a means of trying to elicit sympathy and support from other people, because that will then ensure that they're demonstrated as being under control, and it provides fuel to the narcissist by way of that person's sympathy. Oh, that's too bad. Yes, you were bullied off. They're mean girls, aren't they, Hilaria? You go, girl. You were fantastic. You don't have to listen to them. And it provides the narcissist with the validation that is required by way of the provision of fuel and the nullification of threats to control, while showing that the person providing the sympathy is also under control. Accordingly, it's no surprise that in the deluded world of Hilaria Baldwin, she turns around and says, well, the reason I lost is nothing to do with the fact that I'm unpopular. It's clearly the case that she can evidently dance quite well, given the fact that she's a competitive ballroom dancer, so she wasn't voted off for that. She's voted off because people don't like her. And they don't like her because she's a fraud. They don't like her because she's pretended to be a Spanish woman when she's not one. And there's a range of other behaviours which make her somewhat unpleasant, which I've referenced in parts passim. But there's actually a bit more to all of this, because as reported by the New York Post, she was, however, singing a different tune while she was still in contention, which allows me to show you another aspect of her narcissism writ large. In an interview last month, the librarian lady said she signed up for the show thanks to fan demand. So if everybody's against her, how come there were so many people wanting her to be involved? Was it the case that lots of people were clamouring for her to be involved? Therefore, her suggestion that she's been bullied off is wrong? Or was it the case that she's right that people didn't want her, and therefore that suggests that she couldn't have a large body of support beforehand? Notice the inherent contradiction, but that's not going to stand in the way of the mind of the narcissist, is it, as a consequence of compartmentalization? She said fans started to write into the show to say, oh, you'll say cucumber? No. Fans started to write into the show to say, you should be on Dancing with the Stars. And I was like, really? It was very organic how it happened, she said. But after getting the boot, ay Dios mío, she's now a victim. She spent her post-DWTS days giving interviews and hopping on Instagram live videos, distributing more wines than a region of La Rioja. Then on the show's official podcast, she began crying and saying in a whisper, I opened my heart and now it's broken again. I'm 41 and I met Alec when I was 27. The world has been trying to beat me since. And they did. They really did. Because no matter what I do, it's not enough. Actually, it's too much. Or, as they say in her country of origin, it's too much. She did a network dance competition. She was not an elite runner who trained her whole life, only to lose out on an Olympic gold after snapping her Achilles mid-race. Just say thanks for the opportunity and scram. Spend some time with your 7 kids and your husband, who probably needs some TLC after wrapping your car around a tree. Instead, she continues to beg for pity. In that same Instagram video, she said everyone who meets her is surprised by the negativity that comes her way, because in reality, I am none of the negative things that some people say, and that breaks my heart. And yet, she adds, some of the people who have harassed me for years and misrepresented outright have lied about me. I know that they'll only be satisfied when I'm gone. She would know misrepresentation. She's very active in the practice. During an interview last week with the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast, she tried to distract from her bizarre Spanish-ish accent by blaming ADHD and dyslexia. Yes, deflection and triangulation. A common thing that occurs when a narcissist is called out about poor behaviours, they blame it on some condition, which it actually is nothing to do with. And she continues to perpetuate the farce that she is persecuted for speaking 2 languages, a skill apparently only she has. To speak a language is such a beautiful thing. It should never be a bad thing, and of course it's going to affect the way we speak. In another Instagram live, she greets viewers and responds to one who loves how multicultural she is. Baldwin pauses and says that she gets torn down for it, but it's not that deep. She gets torn down because she fakes an identity and continues to obfuscate details about her life while trying to present herself as authentic. Sound like anybody else that you know? Secure people do not need the approval of strangers. They neither crave nor court it. Since she's been on Baldwin's arm, she's tried everything to be a star, from yoga influencing to working as an extra correspondent. Her latest attempts include Dancing with the Stars, a memoir, and a horrific reality show about her family which exploited her husband's manslaughter case, where Helena Hutchins, a mother and wife, lost her life. And now she's on Instagram Live, another example of a narcissist utilising the playground that is social media, as I've explained on many occasions, where she's cherry-picking and reading aloud compliments to find validation. In other words, fuel. The more she talks, the more deluded she sounds. She can't stop herself. She is a bottomless pit of neediness. Or in other words, she's at a bottomless pit of the requirement of fuel and the need for control. And once again, her hypocrisies, her contrary behaviour, her compartmentalisation, her pity plays are all exhibited in this article by the New York Post, demonstrating once again that by understanding that she is a narcissist, you understand why she engages in these behaviours, which otherwise might have you scratching your head. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.